Lesson 11 for quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals are four-sided polygons. The prefix quad means four. A polygon is a closed figure that's made up of all segments that cross only at the end point. So anytime you see a four-sided polygon, it is a quadrilateral. The next vocabulary word in this lesson, we talk about diagonal. A diagonal is a segment from one vertex to an opposite vertex. So I'm going to take this quadrilateral that we can barely see there, and I'm going to relabel it with the corners A, B, C, and D. And it says right here that my diagonal would be this segment from A to C. So when I have a four-sided figure, a quadrilateral, and I put a diagonal in, what shapes do I see there?
Oh.
Coleman?
Triangle.
Just one triangle?
Two triangles.
Two triangles. So yesterday we talked about the angles in one triangle, and the angles in one triangle are 180 degrees. But since there are two triangles here, the total for a quadrilateral would be what?
360.
Not 10.
360.
360 degrees. So that's really important information. You might want to star it. All the angles of a quadrilateral add up to 360. Question, Joel?
For B, what does what do they call it? Or how many is there? Well, I can't see because the 180's covered. Why don't you open your eyes?
One. There's one.
There's one arc at B and one arc at D. Okay? So those angles are the same.
Kind of looks like a kite, doesn't it, Miss Walter?
Sorta. All right, let's look at just a plain quadrilateral in example 1 and see what information we're given. I'm going to write it outside because it's really hard to see when you're trying to read it up on the screen. So this angle in the upper left is 110 degrees. And then when I go clockwise around that shape, I get a 95. It's a 37 and an X. So I have all of the angles labeled with their degrees, and the directions say to find X. On all of these today, I want you to get in the habit of writing an equation to solve. So I'm going to start with my X, and then I'm going to go clockwise around my quadrilateral. X plus 110 plus 95 plus 37 would equal how much?
Equals
360.
360, because all of the angles add up to 360. Now, anytime we're solving equations, we combine like terms, and I see like terms right here. So we've got to combine 110, 95, and 37. Add that up.
205, and then 37 plus 205 is 240.
Nope.
2, okay.
Plus 242 equals 360. Now to solve for X, I'm going to subtract 242.
From 360.
So X equals
1,
2,
1,
118.
118. Good. So my angle X is 118 degrees. Do you have any questions about that?
no, actually,
I got 99 questions.
Example 2. With example 2, there's more unknown information and the directions change a little bit, so you should probably be aware. First of all, at the top, that says 116. This says 4x. This says 74. And this says x plus 5. The directions now have changed a little bit. It says in these directions to find x and all missing angle measures. So what I'm going to do is follow these steps that are listed there. It says in step 1, we know all angles of a quadrilateral what?
Angle.
All angles of a quadrilateral
Figure.
equal 360.
Oh.
Equal 360. So I'm going to start up at 116, the top.
Can I get it?
Yes, 116. Now what?
Plus 4x plus 74 plus x plus 5 equals 36.
Yeah, equals 360.
Then you gotta add
Let's just get my writing.
Oh, you add the
Put it
x's
up there.
first, Miss Walter.
All right, now what do we have to do, Billy?
You
Get it up
gotta
there.
add
Up there,
the
what?
x.
Put it up there.
No, you gotta subtract the x.
So I've got to combine like terms. What like terms do I have, Billy?
4x
15 times.
4x and x. What is 4x plus 5x?
Be 116.
And then if I add 116, 74, and 5, what would that be? 6 plus 4 plus 5.
195.
15.
15 goes.
Well, I think he went ahead and did the whole thing. It was 15, carry the 1. 195 equals 360.
Then you got
So-
minus 195 on both sides. 5x equals. Oh, I got this.
Oh, I got this.
Be 1, 7. No, 165.
165. Now, last
Then you
step,
divide 5.
divide by 5.
X equals. Hey, what's 165?
About 39.
Hey, that's what.
5 goes into 16.
3 times. Be 1, be 15, that's so be 33.
So x is 33. That's my first answer. As I go around the quadrilateral, I don't need an answer for 116. It was already there, but I need an answer for 4x. How can I figure out what 4x is, Dale?
Well, I was wondering if you put the recording back on.
Yes.
Did you put it back on?
Sadly, it's on.
That's sad.
4x.
No, 4x. Then you have to take 3
You
6.
divide 32.
No.
I have to substitute 33 in for x, and I get 132.
Then you add it to 1. No, subtract it 1.
And then, no, and then I've got, so we still need to find the angle that is x plus 5. So since we found the x was 33, we're going to put 33 in for x, and 33 plus 5 would be 38. So tomorrow it will be worth 3 points for that problem. 1 point for the x, and 1 point for each of these missing angle measures. So you'll have to find them all.
Wait, what'd you do with the 132?
So now we are looking at some problems. We have to go look at a flow chart, and I do have this on my big campus for you. It's on another file. The kind of questions that we're going to answer from that flow chart are called always, sometimes, never. And the always, sometimes, never would involve this. A trapezoid is a parallelogram. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral. A parallelogram is a rectangle. And you have to decide if that's always true, sometimes true, or never true. And you're going to decide after you look at something like this, and I can't find it, but it's here.
Is that the video you just made?
When you're looking at this, it's right here, quadrilateral flow chart. And on the quadrilateral flow chart, I need to make it a little bit smaller so it all fits on the screen at one time. This is all of the quadrilaterals that you could possibly see. There is one other one, but you don't really study it till you get a little bit older. All of them have 4 sides. You'll have to get it downstairs.
No, I know these.
Quadrilaterals are divided into 3 categories. The first category has one set of parallel sides, and when they have one set of parallel sides, those are known as trapezoids. Okay? And with no parallel sides, those are plain quadrilaterals, no special properties whatsoever.
Okay, that's not what I asked.
The second category is just plain quadrilaterals with no parallel sides. And then finally, the third category has the majority of the quadrilaterals, and that's because they are all parallelograms. In order for a quadrilateral to be a parallelogram, it has to have two pair of opposite sides parallel. That's what makes it a parallelogram. Now, from that, you can look at these other shapes, and they are all parallelograms, but they have more specific characteristics. One thing, besides opposite sides parallel in a parallelogram, they also have opposite sides with the same measure. Okay, well, if I leave the parallelogram and go to this shape that's much more specific, they're parallelograms with 4 right angles. And parallelograms with 4 right angles are known as rectangles. I'm going to look at the parallelogram and I'm going to go out the other direction. And if you take your parallelogram and squish it together so that all the sides are equal, that makes a rhombus. And we would probably call that a diamond, but it's really known as a rhombus. And then finally, if you follow and you combine the rectangles with the rhombi, you get a square, because a square is a parallelogram with all right angles and all equal sides. Now, when you're answering those always, sometimes, never questions, there's something I want to tell you about this flow chart. If you are going from one of the shapes at the bottom of a strand up, the answer would be always. For example, a square is a parallelogram, always. A square is a rhombus, always. So from a lower one up, you've got always. If you're at one of the upper ones and you follow down one of the strands, that would be sometimes. So a parallelogram is sometimes a rectangle, and that's just when it has 4 right angles. Or a rectangle is sometimes a square when it has all the sides the same. So if you're up and go down the strand, it's sometimes. The one way you're going to find never is jumping from trapezoid to parallelogram. These never cross over. None of the parallelograms will ever be a trapezoid. The trapezoid will never be a parallelogram, because a trapezoid only has 1 pair of parallel sides and a parallelogram has 2. Now let's go back and look at those questions, and Dustin's going to try to answer them. Dustin, a trapezoid is a parallelogram. Always, sometimes, never.
Never.
That one is never, because I just said you can't jump over from a trapezoid to a parallelogram. All right, what about a trapezoid is a quadrilateral?
I'm looking between either always or sometimes.
Okay, well, that narrows it down. Would a trapezoid, it says a trapezoid is a quadrilateral. How many sides does a quadrilateral have?
4.
4. Does a trapezoid ever have anything but 4 sides?
Yeah.
Always.
What?
Yeah.
Always.
What way?
Always.
No, it's sometimes.
I thought you knew.
That was copyrighted.
Oh, I lied. It's always.
Oh!
Oh.
We are right.
For some reason, I thought you said something wrong. It's always. Trapezoid is always a quadrilateral. Sorry there. Okay. Shh. Parallelogram
Always.
is a rectangle.
Well, sometimes.
That one is sometimes. So you did really well on that.
What's up?
You missed it.
Be quiet.